All right, I'll go back to item 7, joint public hearing. I'll turn it over to you, Joe.
The Planning and Zoning Commission joint public hearing with City Council is now called to order. We will now receive comments from the public, both oral and written, regarding possible zoning changes. The first proposed change is a zone classification change from community shopping center to downtown district of 1.8864 acres of land at 1 Hatcher Lane. Aubrey?
Yes, sir. This owner is requesting to change to the downtown district zoning. The property is within the established downtown district boundary and is eligible to opt into that zoning category. If approved, the development of the property would be subject to the downtown regulations. Development fees would be waived for any for-profit business that incorporates the downtown district requirements.
Is there an applicant that would like to speak? Okay. Seeing none. Is there anyone from the public that would like to speak for making this change? Please step to the podium. Okay. Is there anyone from the public that would like to speak against making this change? Please step to the podium. Seeing none. The next item for public comment is a zone classification change from single-family residential to planned unit development for a residential development, Avalon at Friendswood, being 115.998 acres located along the future Friendswood Lakes Boulevard between West Ranch and Friendswood Lakes Subdivisions, consisting of the following tracts: a 87.774 acre tract in the Mary Fabreau Survey and an 28.224 acre tract of Tract A as conveyed to Yellowstone Mill Country Ranching LLC. As conveyed to Yellowstone Hill Country Ranching LLC. Aubrey?
Yes, sir. This is a proposed planned unit development. Meta Planning and Design, on behalf of Taylor Morrison Homes and the property owners, is the agent on this application. They're proposing to develop 206 home private gated subdivision that would consist of a variety of 60 to 90 foot lots. The development would be located on the future Friendswood Lakes Boulevard. The development of this subdivision would be contingent upon the extension of that road. So they'll need to work with, Galveston County is taking care of the expansion of that road, so they'll be responsible for coordinating that time frame with them. The on-site detention, part of that detention, they're going to use an existing lake that's on the property, and they're coordinating with an adjacent developer. Another subdivision is going to share the detention of that lake with them. And so a lot of this has still got to be worked out with construction plans, and they're going to have to meet design criteria manual. All the submittals will have to go through the drainage district as well to meet the drainage criteria.
Is there an applicant that would like to speak? Please step forward.
All right, I have a presentation. Is there a way to get it on the screen? There we go. Okay. Good evening. I am Catherine Parker with Meta Planning and Design, and I just want to take a moment to go through our proposed plan unit development for this property. We're proposing Avalon at Friendswood, and it'll be located, if you look on the screen, it's located with West Ranch to the east of the project and Friendswood Lakes to the west. It's bisected by Friendswood Lakes Boulevard in the future construction of the remainder of that tract. So the developer for this Avalon product is Taylor Morrison. They're a nationally renowned home builder and developer with over 100 years of experience. They've got projects all throughout the greater Houston area, and they're consistently providing high-end residential communities. Avalon is known as a gated community. The main components
that are unique about Avalon is that it's a high-quality gated development with lakes and large lake lots, and highly landscaped areas all throughout the development. You can see some of that in the pictures below, showing some of the entrances and the lakes in existing Avalon developments throughout the Houston area. There's a number of them that are already existing or under construction, including Avalon at Cinco Ranch, Avalon at Riverstone, Sienna Plantation, Spring Green, and Telfair. So a lot of those I'm sure you've heard of before, but it's a proven development product that Taylor Morrison has done, and they want to bring it to Friendswood. So here we've got some images of some of the models for this type of development. One of the key factors of Avalon is, as I mentioned before, the lake lots. And one thing that they do is provide property along the lakes where the property line goes straight to the water's edge, and that allows for an unobstructed view of the lake, which is a unique element of this Avalon product. And you can see that in the middle pictures on this presentation. But as you can see, the design and the character of the homes is high-end and tries to be unique and something special for these areas. So in front of you now is the proposed land plan for the project. As you'll see, there's a lake on both the north side of Friendswood Lakes Boulevard and on the south. The lake to the south is existing already, and it would be split with the adjacent property. And as you can see, we've got a variety of lot sizes on the plan. We're ranging from 60 by 130, 70 by 130, 80 by 130, and 90 by 130. So the minimum proposed lot square footage is 7,800 because of the increased lot depth, and it ranges all the way up to over 11,000, almost 12,000 with the 90-foot by 130. So the larger lots we have primarily around the lake, and again with that property line going down, extending to the water's edge. Part of the project also is a focus on open space and landscaped areas and amenitizing the lake frontage. So as you can see in this development, there's a fair amount of green space. In doing the calculations with both the lakes and the park areas and just general open space and landscape buffers, we're about 36 acres of the 116 acre development, so it's about 31%. And so it helps provide visual aesthetic for residents and anyone in the area. In front of you here are the proposed regulations for the project. As far as the residential setbacks and general development regulations, we intend to be consistent with what's already approved as a part of the zoning ordinance. The primary change would be on the lot size. We're proposing a minimum square footage for each of the different lot widths, but with the plan that's currently proposed with the increased lot depth that we are providing, most of the lots would even exceed these minimums. But as far as setbacks go and parking requirements, everything would be consistent. So one of the things that we had to incorporate within the PUD is for the lake lots, the allowance that we'd be able to do the lot lines to the edge of the lake. Now that is with the caveat that there would be a drainage easement, so we'd be consistent with all of the required ordinances for maintenance berms, and any development along the lake would still be in compliance with that. But we are trying to maintain the character that's unique to Avalon with the unobstructed view of the lake on these homes that are adjacent to that. One of the other elements is cul-de-sac. We're slightly increasing the maximum cul-de-sac length, but with really only one area that's impacted by that, and it's where the large lots are. So it's still a very minimal number of lots along that. It's just the constraints of the site dictated a need for a minor variance on that part. And then again, one of the key components of Avalon is that it's a gated community. So this project is proposed to be gated with private streets. There's 2 entrances proposed off of Friendswood Lakes Boulevard, both with gates here and here. Here we would come down and the gates would be in this area. But so there's adequate access on either side of the development. And then we're also incorporating just allowance for some temporary signage that would be used with the development of the project. It would all be limited to builders and lenders and would have a time frame on it. So that's part of the language in here. And then as far as phasing goes, as was previously mentioned, it would all be timed with the construction of Friendswood Lakes Boulevard. So everything would be coordinated with the completion of that as necessary. But as it stands right now, the intent would be to develop this portion and the area around the lake down here in the first phase. And then we'd come back and finish the other side of this northern piece in phase 2. And then the remainder of the project would be developed in phase 3. So again, it would all be timed with the construction of that roadway, but we don't anticipate there being more than 3 phases for these. It's just over 200 lots that's currently proposed. So I'm available if you have any questions. We just wanted to kind of go through what all of the regulations we're proposing are. And as I said, we're trying to stay it consistent with everything that's currently proposed, but just make some modifications to allow for this unique product that we think will be really suitable here in Friendswood. So if anyone has any questions, I'm happy to answer, but appreciate your time.
Great, thank you very much.
I have a quick question. What's the reason for the PUD? Friendswood has zoning ordinance for single-family residential with
It's
90-foot lots and 90 by 130-foot lots. I don't understand why we're
It's because we're
seeking a
doing,
PUD.
we have 60-foot lots, 70-foot lots, 80-foot lots, and 90-foot lots. So it's for the
And only
increased lot size.
7% of the lots that you're presenting are 90-foot lots, just around the
Right.
lake. Have you secured that agreement with the adjacent developer for that lake?
For the,
The lake right where the 90-foot lots are. Have you secured that agreement for
so
draining into that lake?
that's all part of the land that would be purchased as a part of the, for Taylor Morrison.
Okay.
So it'd be under their ownership and then developed and maintained by the HOA as a part of the Avalon project.
There's 28 acres that they don't own, but that property owner has signed off on this application and is an applicant on this application.
I'm familiar with Avalon and Cinco Ranch, so the houses that you're proposing are going to be similar to those.
Yes.
What are the lot sizes in Cinco Ranch, do you know?
I think it's pretty comparable. Most of the Avalon product has a similar range in lot sizes.
Yeah, so you're going with significant number of houses that are less than 90 foot, but you are having deeper depths in some of those properties. Is that correct?
So the square footage of the lots is still increased over the minimum even that we're proposing. But one thing that I would point out with it being the lakes that we're incorporating, if we were to apply the base zoning regulation right now, the 90-foot lots over the whole tract, it would be like 230 lots, I think was a rough calculation. And what we're proposing is 206. So the overall density of the whole development is still consistent with what the zoning ordinance requires. But by allowing this variety of lot sizes, that gives a little bit more opportunity within the market, but also allows us for the area to incorporate these lakes and be able to add this additional element to the project.
And what is the estimate? I know you don't know this exact, but what's the estimated price range these houses are going to be in?
I don't have that information right now. Yeah, I don't want to promise anything on that front, but it would be consistent with, other similar projects in the area, Avalon products in the area.
Well, that information might be helpful to us, just letting you know.
Yeah, so just to be consistent, I've always stomped for 90-foot lots, and I will continue to do so. We have approved a development in the 8 years I've been up here, one that didn't meet that requirement, and they were nowhere near only 7% 90-foot lots. We have a lot size standard that we like to adhere to. And I think that the one thing that the citizens in the community appreciate is a government that's consistent. And I think that as a governing body, we need to remain consistent. And so this is going to come up later in the meeting. I just don't think that it is good business to be inconsistent. We just dealt with a developer down 528 towards Alvin, and we made them go back and do all 90-foot lots, and they did. I think it would be responsible on our parts to do the same thing here.
I have one question. How did you come up with these percentages on different lot sizes?
Well, the location of the various products is somewhat dictated by the constraints on the site. But the primary focus was to ensure that the lots around the lake, the higher amenity, were the larger lots, and then working within the constraints of the remaining property. But it also is all kind of dictated by the market and what we feel is most likely to be successful with the areas around it. So.
Thank you. Thank you.
All right, thank you.
Is there anyone from the public that would like to speak for making this change? Is there anyone from the public that would like to speak against making this change? Okay. Seeing no further comment, the joint public hearing is now adjourned.